Good evening, everybody. I hope you've enjoying this spring weather that we're having. We're having suns, and we're also having this April showers, which is a bit early.
Right, so like normal, if you've got any questions, we will be answering them. So we'll just wait for a few more people. Yeah, it has been nice managing to get
It's,
out into the garden, which is always pleasant.
it was lovely today, but the only thing is we're having the early April showers, which and I was planting today, so it was okay at the beginning. So I was doing mulching first thing this morning. That's fine. Weeding and mulching, that's fine. But then, as the afternoon progressed, it just got more wet and soggier and soggier and soggier. And it was a good job. By 4 o'clock, that's it. I'm going home, and I was soaking wet.
Oh, that's a
But
shame.
it's all right. I can come back and finish the rest of it off for tomorrow. So
Oh, that's good.
it,
It's
it's
nice
not.
seeing all of the flowers that are coming out now. Mostly daffodils.
Oh, yes, dabs. Yeah, and narcissus. They're out. All the alliums are coming through now. So they're lovely. I love alliums. Yeah, they're the ornamental onions, basically.
All right, right. Well, let's get started. So, Jonathan, what have you done in the garden?
Oh, since I've seen you last, since I've seen everybody last, I have been sowing um, blue Hungarian winter squashes.
Oh,
I've sowed dwarf green French beans, and they literally were in 2-3 days, and they've already started to push their main shoots up. I've done some extra runner beans because I thought the ones that I did previous weren't growing, and all of a sudden I've planted some more, and the first lot I've just come up, so I've got double the lot now. So it's going to be I'm going to have a shed load here at home, and then I'm going to have a shed load down at the allotment, and I'm going to have to give some away to people. What else have I done? I did an experiment with some sunflowers. It was just a packet that was left over from last year. I thought I'd just do a few of them to see if they come up, and they've come up really well. I've had, out of all the seeds, I've had them all, bar one, come up. So I've had 9 out of the 9 that I planted. I've had 8 that's come up, so that's not bad.
yeah.
What else have I done? I did the experiment with some butternut squash, which was only finished eating 3 weeks ago. So I cleaned all the seeds, dried them out, and I thought, well, if I want to plant these this year, if I put them into the freezer for about an hour or two, so they got that cold spell, they'd be fine to plant the following day. But what I did was I left them in overnight. When I took them out, I thought, oh no, that's it, I've killed them all. I thought, well, let's just see if they're all right. They'll be fine. So I planted them, and I doubled up on each square, and they've all taken. So I'm quite happy that the frost didn't, that the freezer didn't actually kill them. So they did their dormant thing, and then they woke up again. So it's nice. They've all taken. What else have I got over there? I've got, yeah, that's the runner beans. I also did a herb called hyssop. Now, this is a flour mix, but it's a nice sort of like herb that you can use for soups, stews, meat dishes. It's a nice sort of a bit like a how can you a bit like a forget me not sort of flour, roughly to look at. What else have I done? What else have I done? What else have I done? I've also been down on the allotment, and I've put in the variety of potato I put in was Anya. So I put 3 rows of Anya in. I've also put Brussels sprouts, a nice long line of Brussels sprouts, carrots, and parsnips. So they all went in. What else have I done since I've seen you all last? I've also put in some more Swiss chard, the giant Swiss chard, and garlic and thyme. So I've got. I do like my herbs, so I have to put a few herbs in, and that was in my experimental no dig area on the allotment. Um, I think that's about it, really. That's what I've done so far. I know it sounds a lot, but
So is that the first time you've done no dig then?
that is the first time I've done a no dig. I've got an experimental patch on the allotment, um, which I thought, well, I'll try. I'll try it. I'll try it out and see how it works. Because there's various different methods of doing it, and whoever you talk to will say a different method, and you can get quite confused with it all. So I've gone with the leaving the ground as is, and then putting the cardboard down so it covers everything, wetting the cardboard, then putting fresh soil on top again, and then you can plant directly into that fresh soil. The cardboard suppresses the weeds underneath, so you don't get the weeds. Well, that's the theory. You don't get the weeds to come back through.
All right. So that's what the cardboard's for.
Yeah, yeah. There is other methods. I have tried. Part of it is cardboard, and the other part is a waste product, which is from the packing. We get our dog's food is raw, and it comes frozen, and then it comes with these bags, and inside these bags, which hold all the cool air in, or the frozen, keep it in its frozen state. Say, it's wool inside these plastic bags, and I thought, well, let's try that as well. Let's see if that's a good. It's quite thick. It's quite fibrous. So I thought, well, the water can go through it. Will the weeds? Let's try. Let's do half and half. Let's see which works best on this. So yeah, that's all. It's all part of an experiment to see how it works.
Well, you have to keep us updated on that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I haven't got. I don't. We don't. I don't have a vast amount of this stuff, and I thought, well, let's try. Let's see how it goes with that. Yeah, it's worth a try. And also, being it's wool, it will just rot down. Same with the cardboard, that will rot down in time, but it will make a barrier so the weeds, like a bit like a suppressant, like a weed suppressant that you'd use underneath your gravel or something like that.
Nice. Well, what I've done is I've sown some more basil, which is sweet Genovese, on one of the windowsill pots that I had spare after I ate the chives. So I've put some of that in. I've sown some salad leaves, some crispy lettuce leaves blend from Thompson and Morgan, and I've put it in a great big pot, a great big like plastic pot thing. I'm putting that inside, and we'll see what that's like. Um, I put a second attempt at peppermint because the first one I haven't done anything at all, and I think it's been about a month now, done nothing. So
Yeah.
so I've put some more in. I really want a peppermint plant because I like to harvest it and then make some tea out of it.
Let's
So
do it. Yeah.
yeah,
I,
so
I like the spear. I've got spearmint, so I've got that. I prefer the spearmint. But I do love mint with my new potatoes. So I must invest. I must. I'm not. Yes, I know I should go and try it from seed, but I won't. I just cheat and I'll go to a garden centre and I'll buy a big tub of it, so I can actually have it with my new potatoes because they're not going to be far away. See, those new potatoes won't take very long to grow.
um, I've also planted my tomatoes, golden sunrise, which
Oh
are
yeah,
medium-sized yellow ones.
yeah.
So I'm excited to see what that. Hopefully, it all works out. Be interesting. Maybe make some chutney out of them, and certainly learn to
Oh,
save some seeds.
will that be a sweet chutney or a slight on the sharp chutney or like a curried chutney?
No idea.
Oh, right. You
Hopefully,
must plan ahead.
hopefully, my chilies come up as well. And actually fruit. and then I can make it a really spicy one.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. I think you should go into that as a market employee there. I think if you get good at that, you
Uh,
can brand it.
so I fed my basil and my parsley with liquid seaweed again. I'm doing that every 2 weeks, which I
Yeah, that's
put.
about right. Yeah, and you are watering it down, obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
yeah,
don't want it.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. And Comfrey, if anybody's interested, Comfrey is now just coming into its season. It's just showing its head now. So and also stinger nettles are very abundant. They should be about 6 inches out of the ground by now. So if anybody wants free food for their plants, um, it's worth looking into those two. All you do with both of these is you just steep them in water and leave them till they actually go stinky, and then just add some extra water when you separate it off. Add some extra water in it so it's sort of a mid cloudy brown, and there's your free feed for your plants.
Nice. Ragnar's asking, uh, best spuds to plant in clay soil.
Or best spuds, King Edwards. Yeah, King Edwards. But all potatoes, Ragnar, all potatoes are great for breaking down clay soil. If you can also get some organic matter in there. It doesn't really matter what type of organic matter. You could have broken down wood chippings. It could be preferably not pine, um, horse manure, uh, or just buy some big bags of compost. It's just it just breaks it down a bit, so it makes it a bit easier for it to grow. But potatoes are brilliant for breaking down clay soil.
Nice, thanks for the question. Hopefully that answered it. Right, well, on the microgreens front, I keep trying different things with microgreens because they're an easy way to get people started.
Yeah,
Um, so I got like a plastic food container. If anyone goes to Aldi, they'll have seen the croissant one where they've got the four little sections. Got one of those, and I put some of those kitchen wipe things in, ripped them up, made them so that they fit on the bottom, and I put some radish microgreen seeds on two of them, and a very old pack of cress, a 2009 pack of cress, which I've put in the
wow,
fridge for 2 weeks, like
good.
Jonathan said.
Yeah,
So they both sprouted, less so on
mm.
the cress. There were a few, but it didn't really work. They didn't. It took about. I think I gave up after about 10 days. Whereas if I used the seed sprouter with the radish microgreens, they'd have been about 3 inches tall, and where in about 6 days, 6 to 7 days. Whereas
Yeah.
these ones, they didn't even do. They didn't even do an inch.
It's just so
So
so with your microgreens grower, is it a heated compound in there, or is how does it sort of work?
the seed sprouter.
Yeah, the seed sprouter. Yeah.
No, it's. I'll actually bring it up. I'll. I've got the Johnson's uh, kitchen seed sprouter.
Is that the same Johnson's that's making the vaccine?
No. So I'll bring that up now. There you go.
Oh, right.
So it's like that, and
Yeah.
there's a little well, a little drainage well in there. So you fill it up to a certain amount with water, and then it'll start draining down into the next one. And then the green part at the bottom,
Yeah.
that's the drainage. So you take that off and you pour the water out. So there's no standing water in.
Ah, right. So it's not a reservoir then. It just drains away.
Yeah. Uh, the top layer that's open, you use that for
Hmm.
microgreens, and the bottom three use that for seed sprouts.
Oh, I see. That's quite interesting. Yeah, yeah.
I've
Because
found I
you've brought this up before, and I have looked at it, but I haven't been looking at it in detail. But yeah, that's quite
yeah,
cool.
I have tried doing microgreens on multiple different ones, um, and I've found that it tends to promote mold after a while.
Mm,
They tend to
mm,
because you have them in there for a longer than about 3 to 5 days. The seed sprouts would be in there for. So
yeah,
it because there's not that airflow with the
yeah,
sun.
yeah,
So
yeah. You get that mold, and some of it's okay. Some mold's okay, but some mold's not good for you.
yeah, not that version.
No.
Um, but yeah, if anyone wants to give microgreens a try, I have done as you probably all know by now, I've done an overview over it on it. So yeah, hopefully, if you're where is it? I'm just going to get it now. There you go. So that'll get you started if you're interested. And it's a really cheap way of doing it as well. Hopefully, hopefully, I can get it working with a plastic food container, and then you don't even need to spend the £10, or I think it's £10 or £11 for the seed sprouter.
Well, that's good.
Need some seeds.
Yeah.
So that didn't work. Um,
No.
what I've also done is I've sown those 2009 pack of cress in the seed sprouter. So we'll see how that
Was it?
works.
Yeah, I gotta say, how's that? Is it? How far away is that? It was only a couple of days ago, was it?
Um, yeah, I think so. I've actually wrote it down. Always good to write these down if you don't have the little plastic tab, so you know what you're doing. Uh, yeah, it was 5 days ago.
And you've got no show yet.
You know what?
No show. It doesn't. It's not showing you anything yet.
What like it's not sprouting.
Yeah,
No.
there's no, yeah, there's no shoots, no nothing, no anything yet.
Um, no, not really.
No, not really. Oh dear, that's a
So
shame.
we've got to try these
Yeah,
things out.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. I've got a packet of cress that's, I think, oh God, I don't know how old it is. It might be it might be a bit, no, a bit probably about 2 3 years ago that I bought it, and I found it in the drawer, and I thought, oh, I'll grow those.
Well, let's get on to the today's topic. So the first thing we're going to cover is the differences between heirloom and heritage seeds versus high F1 hybrids versus GMO.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, do you want to start off with the
Yeah,
heirloom and
so
heritage seeds?
I'm gonna make it I'm gonna make it a bit easy for everybody to look, so it's really easy to understand. Heirloom seeds are super old seeds, so they're ones that have been handed down for generations and generations and generations and generations. So they could have been grown for the last, I don't know, 400, 500, 600 years. They're ancient seeds. And then you've got heritage seeds. Are old seed varieties created by centuries of open pollination by birds, insects, or other natural means. So that covers the heritage seeds. And then we got F1s. F1s are, it's very simple. The result of breeding two different strains of a variety to produce a third variety. But that's fine. But if you're trying to collect the seed for the following year, it's a well-known fact that F1 hybrids that they don't come true from seed if you've saved them. The resulting are generally crap. They are, which they are. I mean, you could get any sort of standard seed afterwards. It could turn out to be anything. It might be the same, or it could be any number of variants after that. But generally, it's rubbish. I wouldn't ever bother. And then we'll go over to GMOs. genetically modified organisms. So possibilities of GMOs to affect, well, they can affect human health, side effects such as toxicity, organ damage, or gender transfer. So it's one to stay away from. And also with a lot of these GMs, they're coated with nasty stuff. And they're also some of them have also got poisons. They genetically modify them to have a poison in there which kills off all the bugs, so that the bugs won't eat the GMO food. So at the end of the day, you're eating that stuff that insects won't eat, and that can't be good for you. That really can't be good for you. Plus, they're obviously sprayed with nasty things as well. When you have the crops in the field, they're also sprayed with really awful stuff that you just wouldn't want.
Yeah, one of the things you were telling me was that, did you say that all the corn that is grown commercially in the UK?
Got a link for that, Andrew?
Yep, I'll post them. I'm going to post them in the end.
Yeah. Well, the Real Seed Company, they have two varieties, but you must go onto their website because they're not open all the time. They open for a short period of time, for a day, over a fortnight period, because they're struggling with people to do the orders basically. And they have two varieties that are non-GM and non-F1. So it's well worth looking into that.
Yeah, and with the heirloom and heritage seeds, another thing that really is appealing to them is that they've got some fascinating stories behind them.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, excuse me. The seeds, like the farmers of India, and mainly India and say Africa and parts of South America, they grow the seeds that their forefathers grew, and and so on and so forth. So they are what you'd class as heirloom seeds. We have some in this country. There's not very many because we've bred most of ours out, but there are some that still exist. Um, but Big Pharma these days is now taking the food away from all these farmers and swapping it for theirs. So they go to like Africa and take these heirloom seeds that they've been growing for thousands and thousands of years, take them away to America, change them genetically so they're terminator seeds. They will not produce seed at the end that you can collect and use for the following year. So the farmers will grow this seed that these Americans have said, oh yes, you can grow these. These are brilliant seeds. They're much better than the ones that you're growing now. Well, they're not. And they're growing them, and they also have to have extra fertilizers and extra all sorts of nasty things that you really don't want to put into the ground. And what happens with these farmers? They think, oh well, I can save the seed for the following year. They do exactly the same, and they don't grow. So obviously, you're going to get famines and various things like that throughout Africa because of big pharma tech.
Interesting stuff. Old Mother Earth says, love this gardening and food stuff. Passing it on to my son who's busy digging his garden again today. Nice.
Oh, bless him. Good. It's nice to hear that.
Right, so we're going to cover some ideas for people without much space in the garden and who are just beginning. And we're going to focus first on potatoes. So, Jonathan, take it away.
Oh, right. So, what? Let me just bring this up a minute. So, with when you haven't got very much space, Potatoes are a perfect thing. So let's have a look. So, tried and tested methods. So you can have a plastic bag. Can you bring up a plastic bag method?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I will. I'll do that now.
No, that's the one. Yeah, yeah. So some people will try and do it in a plastic bag. It's okay if you haven't got the space and you haven't got. You can see with this plastic bag method, you could use this on your balcony. There's also the other forms of commercial plastic bags. Andrew, no, that's a box.
I'm trying to find it now.
There you go. That's the one. They're the commercial ones that everybody can buy for potatoes, and you can see people use carrots and so on and so forth. Um, yeah, they're okay. They're great, but you don't. They're not long lasting. And they're great for small spaces, like you've got a balcony or you've got a small patio at the back of your house, because most people, most of the new houses these days have a pocket size garden. You and You can't really grow anything in it. You can't really do much else in it. You can't even play football in it. Uh, these things are ideal for those sorts of things. And there's also, well, I didn't give Andrew these photos, but there's also, like, you can get wall mounted hanging pockets. Um, and they're great for like strawberries and various other things like that. So if you wanted to do that as well, you can hang them against the wall, or you can put them on hooks on your balcony, have them on the inside, obviously, and you can grow your strawberries or whatever you like to grow on there. Mainly herbs is best for. See if you can find them, Andrew.
Yep, I'm just doing that now.
Wall
No,
pocket,
with toilet stuff.
wall pockets, yeah.
Oh,
See if you can find them. They are really
yeah,
good.
I found them. I will just.
They're generally made of a fabric with hooks. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 across. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. Bring that one up a bit. Yeah, they're brilliant. You can have those, and they are fantastic. I don't know how long. I've got one. I don't know how long they would last. I think that you'd probably get probably 4 years out of them, 4 or 5 years. But they're like a fabricy sort of stuff. But they are good. They are good. But for potatoes, there's also, if you haven't got the space, there's the tried and tested other way of doing it, which is with tyres. Has anybody heard of this method in chat?
Oh.
So you can grow that on your balcony. Oh, it's gone again. Yeah, that's a different one. Yeah, so you can grow that. That is a patio, or if you've got a balcony, you in there quite nicely. And when you want to actually take the potatoes out, once it's frozen, you can take it off as it take one tire off to take out the amount of potatoes that you like, and you just keep going down. So if you don't have to take them all out all at the same time, so you can still store them in there. You can even store them in there over winter, which I have done in the past. They are 4 high. That's a 4 high. The highest one that I've ever done was 6, and that was a bit too big. And but there's a lot of potatoes, and it's very, very good for a high crop of potatoes. You can get a lot out of them. But what you must remember to do if you're doing the tire method is to make sure that you pack the soil right up inside that rim of that tire, and inside of the rim of the tire. Otherwise, you get big open spots where nothing will grow.
So what about cardboard boxes then?
Oh yes, sorry. The other method is a cardboard box. I've seen this. I've seen this so many times. I think it's crap, rubbish. I don't think. I don't. I personally. It was even something that was on Gardener's World the other day, and I was like, why would you want to ever grow it in a cardboard box? Yes, all right, it's biodegradable, but you can't use it again once you've done it. And if you overwater it, it's obviously going to rot down round. Um, it's okay for early crops, so anything that's a really, really early potato, it's fine for. But still, you're only going to get a very small amount of potatoes, and they are going to be very small potatoes when you take them out of there. So for me personally, I think cardboard boxes are rubbish, but it's a method that some people may like, may not. I'm just giving you options. There's also the tubs, so you can use. No, that's a commercial. That's it. There you are. So plastic tubs or buckets. So you can use those. That as a variety of growing something. But with that, again, if you want to get to your potatoes, you've got to tip the whole lot out to get to all your potatoes at one hit. That's the only downside of doing it that way. With the tires, you don't. You can take a tire off at a time to take out the amount of potatoes that you need.
Right. Has anyone got any questions? Anyone get any questions about potatoes or the seeds that we've covered before we move on to the next one?
I've got the. Oh God, I've lost my pages now. Varieties. Where are
Oh,
they?
Tim is asking cardboard lined with a plastic bag. That work?
Yeah, can do, but you might as well just put it in a plastic bag, Timmy. Um, the cardboard will rot round it, but you'll still be left with a plastic bag. You could do it with a plastic bag that you take from the old fashioned plastic bag that you'd have from the shops. Now they're all super thick and heavy duty.
Odinist Revival's asking if you know any good books on growing stuff.
Um, no, most of mine is learnt, tried and tested because I've the only thing with me is that I'm very fortunate. As a young child, I had a guiding hand from my great uncle. So I've always known. Well, it's not that I've always known, but I've learned from mistakes. And there is quite a few books out there. Um, if you're in the UK, the RHS website can give you lots of information about growing vegetables, and they're all pretty good. They don't tend to lean towards F1s or GMOs. So they're a good website to go and have a look at.
The two books that I'd recommend that I've got are Indoor Edible Garden, which unsurprisingly is for indoor gardening, and you'd be
Yeah,
surprised at just the sheer amount of things you can grow indoors. And another one for if you've got a small amount of space outside is grow all you can eat in 3 square feet. And
yeah,
that has loads of different projects and ideas, such as those wall hanging pouches for maximising tiny amount of space.
yeah.
So I'd recommend those.
Um, yeah, Google it. There'll be lots of stuff out there. There's so much stuff now you can find online. There's also YouTube is a good place to go and look at if you've got a query about something. There's plenty of stuff on and even Pinterest, YouTube, Pinterest. Pinterest, always get lost in Pinterest. I start off looking at one thing and I end up looking at something totally different by the time I come off.
Uh, Tom Peace asks, do sweet potatoes grow okay in the UK?
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Yeah, they're worth starting off in a cold frame or cloche or greenhouse, just because of our late frosts, and we are due some more late frosts in the next few weeks.
Roy Bob said, "Just don't fill your spud receptacle to the brim. Fill with soil as the potato plant grows."
Yes, that's it. Just yeah. I forgot to say that. Yeah, you are right.
Oh, Budik is saying, "Plastic will increase your chances of mildew and rot."
It can do. It can do, as long as you have drainage holes in the bottom. If you've got drainage holes in the bottom, and depending on what type of soil you're using, yes, it can do.
Xanth has said, "Question: Would you line a raised bed with something around the sides?"
Depending if you're using old-fashioned railway sleepers, which are also they have lots of tar and preservatives into the wood. If you're getting fresh ones, then no, I wouldn't. I personally would rather, I have done in the past, is use oak. Oak is a hardwood or British hardwood that will stand the test of time.
Budik is saying, "The biggest thing to remember: our ancestors grew food and managed it without fancy, expensive stuff."
Yeah, very true. So, would anybody like to know some early potato varieties? I have a list of earlies, seconds, and main crops if anybody was interested.
Yeah, let's cover them.
Yeah. So, with your earlies, and these are all tried and tested ones, I know that work. I don't know if they'll be transferable to the USA. I should imagine they would be. So, for early potato varieties, we've got Aaron Pilot, Charlotte, that's one of my favourite, Swift, and my ultimate favourite is Pink Fir Apples. And they are knobbly looking, sort of um, reddish, fingery, sort of finger sort of shaped potato, sort of like a tuber, not sort of like your normal round potato. And all those they can be going in right now. That variety, all those varieties, as long as you've got them chitted before with about an inch or so. Then you've got your second early potato varieties. So you've got Nicola, Saxon, Mars Piper, and Anya. Anya's again very much like the pink fir apples, which are like a knobbly long. I've just done Anya's recently, and they are very nice. They've got a slight nuttiness to them. These are all ones I've grown before in the past, but the Mars Piper is an all good rounder. So you can have them. They can be your second earlies or in your main crop. They can be either. So you can have them like a salad potato, or you can leave them to get to like a large potato. So you can do chips, roast potatoes, and so on, mash. And then we just go into the main crop potato varieties. We've got King Edwards, Roosters, which are like a slightly reddish one. You've got Royal, and you've got Mars Piper again, and you've got Sovereign. Sovereigns are nice. They're a nice all rounder. Mars Piper again, a nice all rounder. King Edward's a nice all rounder. But these are all your main ones. So these are ones that you can leave into the ground till right at the end of the year when you want to do your sort of September, October, November, going towards Christmas period.
Yeah, just putting them in the chat
Yeah,
now.
I was like, what's that?
um,
But if you're going to do them now, you need to start. If you're planning to do potatoes now, you really need to go and source them quick because they are disappearing out of the shops and online very, very quickly. Yeah.
So Odinist Revival has got a question. Know any good wild but edible plants?
Oh, yes. Hang on a moment. Oh, where's my book? Hang on a moment. I just have to just put myself on pause a moment.
Oh. Yeah, so I'm putting these putting that list of potatoes in the chat for anybody. So
Right, I'm back.
right.
Now, so are you are UK, aren't you? Yes. I remember thinking seeing you in the chat there. Right. There's English mace. That's a good one. There's yarrow. That's another good one. Hyssop, which I've got which I did last week. I've done the hyssop last week. So you want stuff that's there's wild strawberry. The native, not alpine, so it'd be wild strawberry. Calamar, another good one. There's caraway, which is another one. That's a wild one. Borage, you can get wild borage. Everybody doesn't think of nettle, but nettle is a good one because that's really, really good, really, really good for you. You can make some nice nettle soup out of that. But you mustn't eat nettles. Excuse me. You must only eat nettles when they are fresh and green. Don't ever eat them or try to eat them when they're going into seed. When you see that feathery, fluffy seed head coming, or they've got brown tinges on, don't ever touch them because they can be a bit slightly on the poisonous side. What else can we find? What else can we find for you? Lungwort is another good one. Primrose, and they're out at the moment. You can eat the flowers and the leaves. Make primrose tea. And there's cowslip is another one. Evening primrose, that's another good one as well. That's not native, but you do see it here. It's I think it's originally comes from it's the US. But evening primrose, the best thing about evening primrose is if you grow it in the garden and you have it close to your garden, so your patio area you're sitting in, it can fill, especially if in the evening, it can fill the whole air with this beautiful smell. It's really nice. It's nice to eat as well, and you can also make essential oils from it. Oh, there's our wild thyme. This is our native thyme, which is a creeping thyme. There's also lemon balm. There's another wild one. Mallows. There's a mallow. I've got a mallow tree. I've got a mallow tree in the garden, and I've also got wild mallow, which is an annual. That comes up every year. After I let it drop seed, it comes back every year. I think that's enough to go on with. You've got honeysuckle. That's another one.
So Jordan's asked.
I think that's plenty. Go on.
Jordan's asked, are King Edwards good to grow?
Oh yeah, King Edwards are one of the best. Are one of our best potatoes. Great idea.
Boudica said, a great deal of heritage heirloom varieties came to North America from Europe, so gardening varieties / methods translate well starting with those.
That's good. I didn't know that. Of course, with the US and America, of course, there's so much With America and Canada, there's so much different variations of when you can plant to our times of planting.
Albert said, the place where the potatoes are planted must be changed every year, and at
Yes.
what distance from the previous place?
And what distance? It's worth doing crop rotation. So you segment your land off into 4 areas, and then you just rotate those crops around every 4 years. That's the easiest way to get around any of potato blight and any other diseases that are floating around. But if you do ever get potato blight or any blight on any of your vegetables, it's best to leave the ground to go a bit to just leave it to go fallow for a year, and then add some compost and return it over, and then start it again the following year after that.
Right. So, after we've covered potatoes, we're going to go into a few more different vegetables that you can get started if you're a beginner. So we'll start off with winter squashes and pumpkins. So you're going to be setting seed in May, around May time, would you say?
Yeah, I've jumped the gun, so I've already started mine.
And
Uh,
they'll grow up and be able to have it harvested in October, won't they?
yeah, yeah. So you have your there is a separation. So of course you've also got if you're American zucchini, if you're British or European, or they are. Um, Come on, Andrew, help me here. What were they called?
Courgettes.
Courgettes. That's it.
Yeah, that.
I could see them in my head, and I couldn't think of the name.
So
Yeah, so they come under summer squashes as well.
yeah. So I've got a couple of examples. So the first one is a Burgess Vine Buttercup. So I'll put that on the screen now. So these are considered to be one of the best eating squashes, and the vine produces heavy 9-inch round dark green squash with a light
Mm,
green button underneath, which you can see on that one.
I bet they're nice roasted.
So it's a good choice for people with smaller plots, as the vines are not too big, but they still make a good enough squashes for 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, there's a really good idea with squashes to do is to make a how can I explain it to you? So you have 2 posts going up, and then you make a frame from these 2 posts going down at an angle, and then you make it into like a lattice, and then you can grow your your summer squashes onto that, and then they drop down, so they hang down below, and they're easier to pick, and also they don't get struck by slugs and snails so much.
Timmy's Timmy's just said it looks like goat poo.
I grew one similar to these, which is called an onion pumpkin, and they're quite nice. But it doesn't taste like poo to me. Don't worry.
Oh, this one is called a Victor, or AKA a red warty thing.
A red water thing. It looks a bit like a durian from Asia.
Well, it was originally introduced by a guy called James J.H. Gregory of Marblehead, Massachusetts, in 1897. But it sort of went out of circulation. People stopped growing it, and people thought it was lost forever. But luckily, it's very recently been resurrected from the U.S. seed bank.
Wow, but I bet it's a bucket of peel.
Yeah.
I bet it's a real bucket of peel.
Yeah, if you look at that one, you can sort of see inside.
Yeah.
This is what I like about these heritage varieties. They're just bonkers. You'd never get anything like that in a supermarket.
No, no, that'd be a reject. That just go to the wasteland.
Right, so the next thing we'll cover.
Oh, you haven't done the winter ones yet.
No, that was the winter ones.
Oh,
I'm on
was
to
it the
the
winter ones?
yeah.
Put on there then. Put on there so everyone can see. These are the ones I'm growing this year. It's the blue Hungarian.
Oh, good night. Goodbye, Boudica.
Take care, Boudica.
So yep. So now we're on to the summer squashes. So just like the winter squashes, set the seeds in May. They'll
Yeah.
grow in these ones though will grow in the summer, and they'll be ready by about June, July, August time. So this is one of the varieties. The first variety, disco squash.
You're growing these as well, aren't you?
Well, I
Oh,
got some seeds. I'm hoping to. Uh,
yeah.
I just love the look of them. They just look bonkers.
They are nice. They do taste nice. I have had those before. Yeah, I've had those before.
But apparently they've got like an artichoke like flavour.
Yeah, they're an unusual one.
It's got a fine but solid flesh. Good and it's good resistant. It's got good resistance to common diseases as well.
With all pumpkins and squashes, if you once you've cut them, leave them in the sun. This is a really helpful, handy tip for you, everybody. Once you've cut them, leave them out in the sun, if we do get some, and let them harden off. So the skins harden off in the sun, and they will keep for much longer if you do this. If you don't do it, they don't keep so long, and they will start rotting from the outside, and you get this horrible fungus growing on top.
So the next one, the next example, is going to be a courgette.
Yeah, my favourite courgettes.
Yep, I love courgettes in a quiche.
Quiche.
So
That's
this is the
very French. I like mine just sliced and cooked in butter.
so these ones Verde d'Italia pale green ribbed courgette. So good early courgette. Um, it's a pale green fruit. This one, uh, very gentle ridges along the length. And I'm gonna
Sorry. What are you describing? Sorry.
There's always one.
I can't help it. Sorry.
The flesh is very tender and particularly finely flavoured.
Mm.
So,
I I like the yellow ones. They are my favourite, but the ones I keep finding everywhere I look are F1 varieties, and I don't want an F1 variety. I want one that I can actually let one grow on and save the seed again for the following year. But all the ones I keep finding are F1s, and I do like
well,
the yellow ones.
well, from Real Seeds, there's some yellow ones, and I don't think they sell F1s, so might be something to look into. Although they might have
Yeah,
sold out by now.
every time I've looked at those, they've been sold out. Yeah, I can't get hold of those from the Real Seed Company. And then every time I look in the supermarkets or in garden centres or wherever else, they're all F1s. I also go on to U Gardens. That's another place. That's where I got all my potatoes this year. Um, and they're all theirs are F1s. So it's like, no, I'll give up.
Yeah, they've sold out of them. Oh, not available until 2022.
Oh.
Right, so that's the summer squashes dealt with. So the next thing we're going to go on to is tomatoes.
Right.
So there's two types of tomatoes. You got your vine tomatoes and bush tomatoes. So with the vine tomatoes, they require staking, to make sure that they don't fall over, and the side shoots need to be pinched out, so that is removed. And they need to be done regularly to train the plant to grow upright. Um, they'll take longer to go to flower and fruit than the bush varieties.
Yeah, that's a standard for. Yeah, that's why I prefer bushes.
Oh dear. Well, the one
Yes.
the golden the ones that I've planted,
Yeah.
what's it called, golden sunrise. They're a vine variety. So a lot of
Yeah.
work to do once I've plonked them in a bigger pot.
I've got a bush variety this year and a tumbling yellow. So what I'm going to do with the tumblers, they're like a bit like the tumbler toms, but these are yellow. This is the yellow variety. Um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them. I've found two extra big posts that I was going to cut off on the fence that I didn't bother cutting off when I put them in. So I'm going to put them in hanging baskets so they can hang down there and happily grow away from the slugs.
So with the bush varieties, bush tomatoes, they don't need pinching out, uh, although they may need to be staked. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, yeah. But again, with the bush varieties, um, it's always better to look. There's lots of varieties on that the Real Seed Company, and they use the Eastern European ones, which are more suited to our climate. Because if you most of the ones you buy are Mediterranean varieties, yeah, they're all right, but the only thing with those, because they get more sunlight and for longer periods, they tend to mature faster. Where they don't mature faster in the UK. They do mature faster in the Mediterranean countries. With having the Eastern European ones, they're more suited to our time scale and heat.
Oh, Jordan's telling me to answer Tom's question. Sorry about
What was Tom's question? Sorry. Yeah. What was
that.
that?
Tom Peace asked, compost tumblers, any thoughts?
Tom, put the question back up again. Sorry. Compost. Yeah, you can put them in compost. Is that what you're trying to get at? Is that the compost, or is that you on about the tomatoes itself? You've lost me. Um, yeah, you can use a compost as long as it's peat free. You don't want a peat free compost. Oh, you do want a peat free compost. You don't want a peat free compost. No. Did I say that right, Ryan?
Well, if you want to clarify the question in the chat, hopefully I'll get to it.
Yeah, throw it back to me again. Let's have another go.
Oh, Jordan's saying something. They are compost things that spin around. Tom asked about it a while ago.
Um, I haven't a clue. Is the answer to that one? I haven't a clue. Without seeing it, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Hello, Aria. Dog's come in. Hang on, she needs to go to the loo.
Right,
Yeah,
I've got some.
you crack on a moment.
All right. um, so, an example of a vine variety of tomatoes is a Trixie, which is on the screen now. So it's a nice mini plum tomato, very long trusses, bearing really tasty fruit, and it's early and greatly productive and adaptable to different climates. I'll get to the next variety which is called Aurora. Oh. Now these ones, it's originally from Siberia, and it fruits very early and germinates well at low temperatures.
Right, I'm back.
We're talking about Aurora bush tomato.
Aurora bush tomato.
So originally from Siberia.
Oh, that would be an early cropper then.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah,
an
it
early
is.
cropper, yeah.
So it's got thick flesh and is particularly good with cooking down into a rich sauce.
That's what I'm going to do this year. Any glut of tomatoes, I'm going to. I've already saved my jars, and they're going to be anything that's any glut of tomatoes that I'm going to have this year. They're going to be all cooked down with a little bit of lemon, so it just holds their stops them from it going nasty and manky. And then I'm going to store them in jars as I need them. I'll take them out for bologneses or chilies or whatever else. So none of it will go to waste this year.
You're learning about all how to preserve your making preserves and all that. I think that's another really good thing we should be doing,
Yeah, yeah.
especially if you have
Well,
a glut.
yeah. This is the same with if you've got carrots, potatoes. You don't need, especially potatoes. You don't need to dig them out of the ground. As long as they're nice and deep in the ground, you can leave them where they are. As long as you know that that's the trough of potatoes that you've got there, you can dig them out as you need them. They don't necessarily need to come out there and then on that spot. You don't have to go, right, I'm going to have to dig all of them out all in one hit. You don't need to do that. You just take them out gradually as you need them. Or if you want to, you can do the other method, take them all out if you really want to, and then make a hill, a dome. If you've got the garden, you can make a dome. So you make the first part, you put straw in, potatoes, straw, and you build up round the sides the soil up and into like a mitten. So you can store that. That's a good way, and that works also for carrots as well. And you can pull the carrots out as you need them as well.
DJ Painkiller is asking how long will that last then in the jars?
Oh, that should last 6 months, as long as you've done it properly and you've made sure that the seal is nice and tight. You can last up for a year to the following year. It's the same with it when you make chutneys or anything like that. Some people, I know a lady that I was talking to a couple of days ago, and she's got chutney from 2 years ago. She was trying to give it away, I think.
If you want to try your hand at making preserves, there's a overview that I've done. So give that a look at and try it out.
Yeah, it's all worth a try. You can only try, and if you don't get it right this time, you do a small batch. If you don't get it right, try again.
Right, so runner beans. You're taking that one, are you?
Yeah, the variety I've used this year. Yeah, because runner beans. I think I talked about it at the beginning. Yeah, I did for one lot already this year, and I thought, oh, they're not coming, and if they're not coming, not coming, and then I thought, well, I better do a load more. As I finished doing my second lot of runner beans, and they've been in there a couple of days, I start seeing the first ones pop up, and I'm thinking, oh no, I've got double the amount I need now. So I'm going to have a glut of runner beans this year. There's going to be I'm gonna do if I do keep them all, which I probably won't. I'll probably give some away to friends and family and anybody in my community. But the variety I'm using this year is Ziggurat. They are runner
How
beans,
do you
but they're
spell that?
pardon.
How do you spell that?
Uh, Czar.
Zar.
Zar.
Oh,
Zar.
yeah, I'm
Zar.
going to get some of those from Real
Yeah,
Seed and,
that's it.
and
So
pronounce.
I know I never know how to pronounce all these weird names. Um, yes, you want to go in there? No, you're not. You can sit down in here for 5 minutes. Yeah, so they are an unusual one. I haven't grown this one before because they're more like a butter bean when you let them set to seed. But with all beans, I mean runner beans, we all think of them eating them quite young, but you can let them set seed, and then you can eat them as like you would kidney beans or any other beans, broad beans. They are lovely in soups, stews, anything like that. And they could even put them into your chili as well if you fancy. A bit like blotti beans or baked beans. They're all the same family. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to growing these this year. Yeah, they're an unusual one.
So when do you sow them? About now, isn't it?
Right about now, yeah, they're ready to go now.
What about harvest time?
Harvest time. As soon as you start seeing, I'd I'd say because we're still heading for a few frosts coming up. I would have them under cold frames or in a greenhouse or on a windowsill if you can. I haven't got the space now because mine's all taken up by tomatoes and pumpkins, and I've got a greenhouse full of leeks, seed onions, and sweet peas, and so on and so on and so on. You're best wait until the last of the frost before planting them out. And always when you plant them out, you put your runner bean in, and then you put an extra bean that hasn't been germinated down the side of it. That's always a good thing to do because then you'll get the first lot of beans that have come up that you'll grow and let them get to about, I'd say, roughly 10 inches long, and then they're nice and fat by about half an inch wide, and that's the maximum. If you're going to have them young, that's the point to have them. If they get any bigger than that, then they will set the seed, and then you'll have the proper sized bean inside there, which are delicious as well. But if as soon as they start sitting, if you're growing them for which way you want to do it, as soon as they start setting seed, all the rest of them that will take all the energy out for the rest that you want to grow for your normal cut runner beans that you'd have with your Sunday dinner or whatever else. So beware of that if you let them one set to seed.
Old Mother Earth has got a fantastic question here. What about preserving things like runner beans using the salt in jars, as we may not be able to rely on freezers if we get hard times ahead?
Yeah, salting is a good one, but not too much of the salt, obviously. Just enough. There's a cat outside. Sorry. Um, uh, there's the salting method is a good way of doing it, but again, you don't want too much salt in your diet. It would be a light salting, just enough to kill the bacteria.
DJ Painkillers asked, "Does this fella want my address? I like veg."
Well, if you're anywhere near Wiltshire, that's fine.
Right. So the last one we're going to cover is French beans.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, the French beans. I've grown. What have I grown? Right, I'm not going to pronounce it because it's in French. I'm going to say dwarf green French beans. So I'm going to give you the spelling of it, and you can Google it.
all right.
Okay, it's A Q
Oh,
I
wait,
L.
just a minute. I thought
Hang
you were
on.
going to type it into the. Just a minute.
Bloody yeah, you're right.
A AQ
Aquilon.
ILON.
Yeah,
Aquilon.
if you want to say it that way.
I think he's come up with it.
Yeah, that's it. Oh no, that's runner beans. No, there you are. There it is. Over
Oh yeah,
on
French beans. Yeah.
yeah, French.
Dwarf French
Yeah.
beans.
Now
Yeah.
this variety again is from the Real Seed Company, and with this one, I thought, with all the other beans I've done, like the broad beans, runner beans, and so on and so forth, I've done this year. I thought, they're going to take ages to appear. I put them in on Thursday of last week, and by the Saturday they were shooting the root down into the ground. And I thought, oh my god, they're quick. And they're just starting to produce, just pushing the first set of leaves out. So they are very, very quick. And I think I've jumped the gun. So hopefully the frost will be gone soon, so I can plant them out, because they're going to go like the clappers, I think.
Uh,
I haven't tried these ones, but these are quite nice. I think, as far as the write-up was saying about them, they're very nice.
so Daffyd has said, don't miss out on Munch 2 and Sugar Snaps. If you can eat the pod, it's a winner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The thing is, when you grow peas, I do like sugar snaps, but when you grow peas, you know what? I don't know if anybody here has done this. As a child, I had this slightly idyllic life where my great uncle would grow the peas, and my dad as well, and hardly any of them went to the kitchen table. They ended up in our tummies as we whip. So you'd get the pea, pull them off, and pop the seeds out. Most of them didn't go into the pot to go into the kitchen. They ended up in my mouth. Same with when you go like strawberry picking. They always end up. You always end up eating more than actually what you actually take away with you.
Right. So has anyone got any questions?
Let's go for a Q&A. Anyone?
Oh, Tom Peace has got back to us.
Ah.
Sorry, I couldn't reply earlier. Compost tumblers. Think giant tombola spinners. Supposed to make compost in 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, 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 yes. I do have two huge ones on the allotment. But no, actually three huge ones on the allotment. But unfortunately, the person that had the allotment before me, well, I rented two, subletted. She's been filling it with all sorts of rubbish that won't rot down, like all the runner bean uh, ends. So she's chucked all that in there, and it's all dry. And I'm looking at it thinking, this is never going to work. It's not going to work. It's never going to work in a month of Sundays. And I've turned them, and I've looked at what's at the bottom. It's still all the same sort of stuff, dry, twiggy rubbish. And we're not allowed to have a bonfire on the allotment, so I can't burn it. So I might have to dig a hole and make it disappear somewhere. So yeah, it can be a good idea depending on what you're going to put in it. Obviously, you don't want to put perennial weeds in there, and you wouldn't want to put sweet corn, leftover sweet corn sticks, and you wouldn't want to put Brussels sprouts in there because the stem of the Brussels sprout doesn't rot down very quickly either. Anything that rots down quick is all right, but anything that takes such a long time to biodegrade, you don't want to put in there. But yeah, they're all right.
Any other questions? I actually have one. So my basil, which I've got on my windowsill, The
Yeah,
top leaves, they've got some black. They've turned a bit black. Now there's nothing underneath. Underneath the leaves are fine. It's just on top. What do you think there might be?
that sounds like a bit of mildew. It sounds like a bit of mildew. Without seeing a photo, I couldn't tell you, but it sounds like a bit of mildew. That's down to air circulation. Um, do you water it from above, or do you water it from below, like into the tray below it, or something like that?
About parallel.
Okay.
I make sure that none of the water goes on the leaves.
Yeah. And then what sort of have you used? Like a generic compost for it?
I've used it was whatever compost that came with the set, and then I put some. I think I topped it up with some multi-purpose, and then I've put some vermiculite on top of it.
Yeah, see, because they've got very fine, fleshy leaves, they are prone to a lot of things. I think the one that I suggested last time when we were talking about basil for everybody to try out is the Greek basil. God, that's a bit typical at this moment in time with the royal family being over there. I'm sure you know more about that. Yeah, the Greek basil, and that's more that actually looks much more like a thyme bush. What about broad beans? Yeah, broad beans are native, and if you are going to put them in right now, and they are hot. They won't get damaged by the frost. They're really good. Again, try and go for a non F1 variety, so then you can save the seed. Uh, oh, you missed that. It's gone.
Oh, yeah,
I was just reading through it.
yeah. Roy Bob said broad beans picked young are very tasty, and you can put them in now. They can take a frost.
Yes. Oh, yes, they can take a frost. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're very very hardy. They're a hardy brassica. They come under the brassica family.
Daffy said it draws in an aphid now.
Yeah, this is why I've suggested Daffyd Greek basil. For with basil, people that's had a nightmare with basil, Greek basil. Can you bring that up, Andrew?
Greek basil.
So people can see that. It grows like a little box, like the box hedging that everyone sees. Yeah, that's it. And it's lovely, and it's so easy to grow, so easy to grow. It's much easier than the big leaf lettuce, bigger leafed basil. This year, I am going to try. Let me get my seed packets. Let's have a look. I am trying to grow. Just rocket. No. Oh, that's it. A mammoth lettuce leaf basil. So I'm going to have a go at growing that one this year. And that's supposed to be huge. The largest lettuce leaf basil we have found. That's from the Real Seed Company again. But yeah, you cannot go wrong with Greek basil. I'm a lover of. So like, I'll have the tomatoes, and I'll have the basil growing at the same time. So that'll all be good. And all I need to go and buy then will be some mozzarella. So I can do a mixture of the three, and have a salad that way. That's lovely.
Timmy said, I see a WRT Hugh Fernley Whittingstool type meetup to eat lots of veg this summer. Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be cool. What meat? Whatever you have to meat, you can't just be veg. You just have to have some meat with the veg. It might have to be a hog roast with veg.
Right, I'm going to drop the links to realseeds.co.uk,
Yeah,
and I'm going to drop the link to Chilton Seeds as well.
cool. Yeah, they're both good companies.
Yeah, with Chilton, I put my order in and got that, and out of the blue, I've got a very nice little catalogue
Oh
with
yeah,
its stories and all that, which a nice surprise.
they do. And also, they just give you. It's not just a seed company where you just buy seeds. It's a bit more than that. They go into depth and tell you a little bit about the seeds and so on and so forth, which is nice.
So with the real seeds, as Jonathan mentioned earlier, they're only open for orders in small windows because there's seven. I think there's 7 employees, and they're just inundated with the orders. So they, and with all the situation that's going on at the moment, um, it has it has meant that they can't fulfill all the orders as fast. So luckily, they're open now, so you might want to get your orders in after
Yeah,
this.
and be very very quick with it. If anybody wants carrots, go and get some Manchester carrots. They're fantastic. I've looked at many reviews about them, and they look fantastic. And I'm growing them the first time this year, so we'll all be doing the same if you're all doing it. And we can also look at our results at the end of the season.
DJ Painkiller said that Attitude seeds is great as well. Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't heard of attitude seeds. I have to look them out. I'll look them
Yeah,
out.
thanks for that.
Yeah, that's appreciated.
Right, so if there's no other questions,
Come on, there must be somebody must have a question. Come on,
final questions.
it's joke time, is it?
Right, so the next one it'll be in a couple of weeks, so the 8th of April. That's okay.
Yeah, and for everybody else, I did mention this to Joe and Jordan, and I have mentioned it to Andrew. As we go through the year, I am also going to try my best to get some sort of portable webcam so we can go out into the garden. I'm not taking you down to the allotment; it's too far away from here. Down into the allotment to have a look at things that are growing and anything I can show you or we can go through as the stream's playing out.
Oh, Roy Bob says, any advice on taking cuttings from apple trees?
Yes, two very good things. First thing, if you want to take a cutting from an apple tree, you'll need to graft it onto a good stock. So you have to find another apple tree, a good apple tree stock. It could be a crab apple, it's fine, but it's a good stock to put it onto, and then you have to graft it on. Or there's the alternative way of doing it, which is to use a air layering method. There is many different devices out there. I use one that's like a ball that clamps around the area. So you cut part of the bark away, put natural hormonal rooting powder on there, clamp this. It's like a circle or like a football sort of thing, and it clamps on. You can put sphagnum moss or a little bit of soil, but mainly I use sphagnum moss. Clamp that on, and then leave it as long as you possibly can, preferably for a year. So you do it start early in the season, wait till the plant has gone dormant, So all that energy from that branch has all gone back to those new roots that you've just grown. Then cut it off and seal it. So when you take it off, check you've got roots in there. If you've got enough root in there, cut it off. Seal the bottom with you can have there's a sealant you can buy, which will seal that nicely off, and then you won't get any infections in the bottom of that apple tree that you want to grow. That is the two methods you can use. Bar that, go and buy one.
Right then, so if that's the last question, thanks for turning up. I hope you got a lot out of it. And one more question.
Oh, go on, throw it in, go on.
I've got about 6 plum trees with a disease for the last 2 years. Just a few mouldy plums. Any advice before I dig them up and burn them?
Yeah. Mouldy plums, right. Now, is the bark of the tree got like an infection that's grown up it? If so, you can buy tape that goes around the bottom. They're like a green barrier tape that goes around the bottom of them. You can do that. Or, if it's not that, you can cut them back and use a natural method, which is neem oil, NEEM, which will kill any funguses or any disease that's running around on the plant. I don't go for the last resort, which is kill it. It's put it out and start again. There's always a way around it.
Right. Right, thanks for that. So, yep, thanks for turning up. We got a lot out of it. Remember, Chiltern seeds, not Chiltern seeds, real seeds. If you're going to get your order in, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, hang on. Duffy said neem oil. Yeah, neem oil. It's an Asian tree that you can buy. You can buy it as an essential oil, but you don't want an essential oil. You can buy it as a non. It's like a cold pressed neem oil that you want. It's very gloopy and very thick. So your best process to use it is to put it into really, really hot water, and then it sort of slowly disintegrates a little bit, and then you can spray it on or brush it on. Is the other way of doing it.
Right. So remember, Chiltern seeds and real seeds. The links, you should have the links in the chat. And we'll be back in 2 weeks on the 8th of April. So goodbye, everyone. See you then.
Good night, everyone. I hope you enjoyed.